Stripped down to my underwear, not even gonna lie to y'all, off the side of the road, stripped down to my underwear, jumped into the Yellowstone River. Hey, what's going on, YouTube? Welcome back. So we've made it a year. It's hard to believe it's been a year here at Melton. And boy, what a year has it been. Or I guess it has been, would be the proper way. Anyway, we're gonna talk about it. I'm gonna talk about the last year. I've hit 46 out of the 48 states here in the lower 48. I'm missing out on Michigan and Rhode Island, which if I don't see either of those two states, that'd be fine with me. My favorite parts of the country is probably going to be the mountains out west. I really love the Pacific Northwest. It's probably my favorite parts of the country. My least favorite, if you follow the channel, you know my least favorite is going to be up in the Northeast. I do not like going up to the Northeast. The 287 up and around New York, anything Baltimore, DC, you know, just kind of that whole just general area. Not really my ideal spot, but fortunately I haven't, you know, there was a little, probably 6 weeks there where I was running consistently. Other than that, it's just kind of run this up there and get out of there. So very fortunate not to have to run too much up in that area. But that's today's video, my 1 year Melton review. All right, and kind of broke it down into 3 things I dislike, 3 things I do like, and then at the end is what I recommend this if I had a friend going through CDL school that wanted to get into flatbed. Because if you don't want to get into flatbed, then yeah, I'm not going to recommend Melton to you. If you're lazy, I'm not going to recommend Melton to you. Flatbedding is really hard work sometimes. So with that being said, let's get started. All right, so I got my little handy dandy notebook like Joe for Blue's Clues. All right, so we're going to start with the cons. All right, and I'm going to preface this segment by stating a lot of the issues I've had aren't necessarily Melton specific. A lot of issues I've had have been like just OTR issues, you know, like time off, which Melton's policy is you get 1 day per 7 days you're out. Currently they have a program called Road Warrior, so if you stay out for 3 consecutive weeks, then you get an extra day of home time, or you can cash that day in for $200. So that's the current home time policy for Melton, which is pretty standard, minus the Road Warrior is like an added benefit, but 1 day per 7 days out is kind of the standard in the industry. So I can't really fault Melton for home time. That's what I signed up to do. That's OTR. That's the life of the OTR driver, regardless if you haul flatbed or what. So you know, I miss going out to baseball games, and I miss going out to happy hour with my friends. I miss having friends, you know, just stuff like that, going and playing golf on the weekend, or being I want to go drive. Well, it's gonna sound funny. I just want to go drive around, you know, maybe go see an outlet mall, stop in and go shop, or you know, whatever it may be. Just having the time off, that's pretty much my biggest complaint for OTR. So if Melton ever comes up with like a legitimate dedicated South regional fleet where you're out Monday through Friday and you're home all day Saturday and all day Sunday, I'd probably stay here at Melton forever. But obviously you have to be a senior guy to get some kind of a gig like that, and I don't know if I have the mental fortitude to stick it out that long. But number one thing I dislike about Melton, and again, just remember all these things I like or dislike are pertaining to me, okay? The first thing that I don't particularly like is there's really nothing to look forward to here at Melton when it comes to career progression, right? And what I mean by that is I'm always going to haul skateboards and step decks. We do oversized loads here or there, but there's no specialized division. There's no, you know, we're gonna learn how to go from step decks to, you know, RGN trailers, or, you know, get into like hauling windmills. There's a truck passing by, the audio might get funky. So anyway, like I was saying, there's really just nothing to look forward to. Now, from a financial standpoint, which obviously I'm not trying to belittle, you know, financial impacts of working, because that's probably the number one thing people look at when they look at a new job, how much does it pay? But for me, you know, Melton's my second form of income, and so I'm fortunate enough to be kind of picky, right? And so from a financial outlook, there's really not a whole lot there to look forward to for me. Melton caps at 65 cents a mile for their ambassadors, which is, you know, their million-mile drivers, which, let's just say it takes you 10 years to get there, right? You know, you get 100% profit sharing at that ambassador level. Melton will customize a truck for you to drive. You know, you can pick the color, interior options, stuff like that. So I mean, yeah, there's that to look forward to. And then at year 3, if you get 3 years safe, you know, safe driving, you become what's called a Blue Knight, and you know, you are eligible for profit sharing at that time, which I believe is 25%, right? So say that, hey, we're going to give back $10,000 this year, right? Well, ambassadors get the full $10,000, and then Blue Knights get 25% or $2,500, right? So, you know, there's, I guess that's something to look forward to. But you know, to each their own. The financial part, like, it's not like, oh, if I stay here 10 years, you know, I'm gonna be making 75 cents a mile, versus I can go, now that I have a year of experience, I can go find a line haul position, you know, averaging 2,000 to 2,500 miles a week, making 71 cents a mile, right? And I'm home every day and on the weekends, you know. So I look at it at a financial standpoint from that aspect, and I'm like, long-term wise, if money's going to be my biggest motivator, Melton's not going to be the company for me, right? So that's number one. Sorry, I got on a tangent. Number two and three, these things are both that Melton communicated to me during recruiting, orientation, on my trainer truck. Like, it's nothing that they tried to hide. It's just something I was aware of when I came to Melton, but it doesn't mean I have to like it. And I really had to kind of nitpick and find 2 other cons to put on this list. Yes, so number 2 is going to be that Melton is a forced dispatch company. And so what I mean by that is, if, say, you're a driver and you don't like going out west, you don't like the mountains, and you get a load, and Melton's saying, hey, take this load from Tulsa to Washington State, guess what? You're going to Washington State. There's no, you can't refuse a load, right? And to me, I understand why that is in place, but it also comes down to driver comfortability. Like, if I'm not comfortable driving in a certain environment, to me that's a safety issue. But then again, maybe OTR is not for you, right? So I see both ends of it, but again, personally, that's just something I don't like, forced dispatch. With that being said, if I ever get a load, you know, say, hey, take this from Tulsa and you're going to go to Manhattan, guess what? I'm walking inside and I'm giving my keys to my DM. I refuse to go to New York City. Hopefully it never comes down to that, but if it does, that'll be the day. Like, hey, I understand y'all are, you know, a forced dispatch. I'm refusing this load. If that means I have to be terminated, so be it. We'll shake hands, thank each other for our time, and go our separate ways. So again, hopefully it doesn't come to that, but that's my walking papers right there. So number 3, the third thing I do not like about Melton, and again, they tell you this plenty of times beforehand, you're going to tarp and tarp and tarp and tarp. All right, Melton tarps a lot, and they are notorious for it. It's part of the gig, right? You can go to the same shipper as another company, picking up the same freight from the same customer, going to the same receiver, taking the same route, and they may not have to tarp it, but you bet you're back in, we are going to tarp it here at Melton. So again, it's something that Melton communicates to you up front, so it's not like you're surprised by it, but that's my number 3 thing. So again, nothing really to look forward to, being a forced dispatch company, and you're gonna be tossing your tarps out. All right, so we got the bad stuff out of the way. What do I like about Melton? Is there anything I like about Melton? There are a few things. And these aren't going to be, I guess, these probably aren't going to be like typical pro-con lists for the pros anyway. And I'm actually going to throw a fourth one in there that's very much pertaining to me because I've had buddies who would not say this. But the fourth one for me is I drive really good equipment. Melton takes really good care of their trucks. You know, we got, well, I think it's pleather, but, you know, leather seats. Again, I don't know what other companies. Yeah, I haven't been in the sleepers, but I've seen pictures and I've talked to other drivers. But like the sleeper, everything feels nice to me. All right. One of the companies I was looking at going to whenever I was planning on leaving Melton, they offered cloth seats. Now, you might be like, well, that's not a big deal. Look, I sweat super bad. All right. Flatbedding is a dirty job. I'm not trying to hop in a cloth seat, right? I'm not trying to hop in a cloth seat after sweating and being nasty. Like, no. But that's my fourth thing. Melton offers really good equipment. Number 3, and again, these aren't in any particular order or anything, but number 3 is going to be, excuse me, the people at Melton. For me, I came in brand new CDL right off the printer, came to Melton. Literally, I had my CDL printed Friday, Monday I was in Tulsa, right? And from a new driver's perspective, if I had any issues, questions, concerns, comment, whatever it may be, it was always, I always had somebody to talk to. If it was after hours, 2 a.m., you know, something's going on, I don't know what to do, Melton offers a mentorship program, and I could call one of the mentors on that line. Hey man, what's going on? You know, I may have woken them up from a sleep. And, hey man, what's going on? How can I help you? Or hey, I call safety. Hey man, you know, I'm not sure how to secure this load. You know, they're gonna have you take pictures, send it in, and they're gonna walk you through or talk you through, you know, what you should do, what you shouldn't. You know, just as a new driver, that is huge, especially not only driver, but you're new to flatbed too. Like, people, I think people underestimate how difficult flatbed can be. But having that support system that Melton offers, and Melton puts really good people in those positions. So their vetting process to weed out people who want to, oh, I'm a mentor for the name recognition and not actually caring to help people. Melton does a very good job vetting those people out and putting the people who truly care in those positions. So number 3 would be the people at Melton. Number 2 that I really like about Melton is the company, the growth of the company. All right. And I know this one and the last one is probably kind of weird to hear on a pro list, but hear me out. I like working for a winning team. I like being on a winning team. I'm kind of competitive, not like overly, but I want to be a winner, right? No one wants to be a loser out there. And one thing you look at when you're looking at companies to work for, and this goes for any industry, you know, you want to look at their track record, right? You want to see progress, right? You know, for me, you know, it's like, hey, how did y'all handle COVID? All right. You know, what kind of upgrades have you done to your facilities, to your, you know, driver pay? You know, obviously that's a huge one. I know I'm trying to keep all this away from pay, just because pay is so subjective. Everybody has their own needs financially, but you know, these are things I look at when choosing a company. And you know, hearing that, oh, Melton just built this brand new terminal a couple of years ago, you know, that's growth. They just revamped their entire orientation and training program. That's growth. They're upgrading the Laredo terminal. That's growth. You know, so I see these things. You know, as a driver, you know, we're out here day in and day out, and it gets tiresome. We complain. All right. But knowing that when at the end of the day, we're helping a company grow and we're a part of that winning team, for me, is a big thing, and that's why I put it on my pro list. All right, so my number one thing, and this is the number one thing above everything else I could think of, because for me, it's so important. I am not micromanaged, and that is huge for me. It's something that, one of the reasons I got out of the military is because they like to micromanage. It's just something I despise, and I am not micromanaged here at Melton. Jordan, if you ever watch these videos, big shout out to you. That's my DM. For those who don't know, I can call Jordan. Hey Jordan, you know, I didn't sleep really well last night. I'm gonna drop this load off and I need to take a 2-hour nap. Or hey, I've called her one day, I remember, it was a Thursday morning. I made a drop at 8 a.m. and I told Jordan, hey, I'm gonna drop this load off and I'm going to go to sleep. I don't know how long, but I didn't sleep at all the night before, and I was tired. And I called her, hey, I am exhausted. I'm gonna drop this off and I'm gonna go to sleep. I'm not setting an alarm. I was like, if I wake up before, 2-3 o'clock, I'll call you. Hey, I'm available. If not, can we please load me tomorrow? And she's like, hey, no worry, I'll take you off board. Get your rest and we'll put you back on board tomorrow morning. And like, to me, that was huge, man. I mean, how many companies can you go, not just trucking, but how many times can you call your boss or your manager and be like, hey, I'm tired? Because that's essentially what I'm just tired. I'm tired. I'm sleepy. How many of them be like, oh, you know what? Take the rest of the day off. Come back tomorrow, well rested. Not a lot of places do that, right? I'm fortunate enough not to get really sick very often. However, the last about a month ago, for about 2 weeks there, I was pretty sick. I don't know if I got the flu or what, but I was pretty sick most of the days, and just kind of power through it. That's flatbed. But there was one day where I was like, hey Jordan, let's just say I was like, hey, I need to be next to a bathroom or a toilet all day. And she's like, hey, that's understandable. I hope, get some rest. We'll take you off board. Hopefully you can get to feeling better. And just, I'll call you tomorrow. I called her that morning, just, hey, I'm good to go. But that's what I mean. Like, you're not micromanaged, and that to me is so important. And I can't stress it enough how much I enjoyed it. It's one of the reasons why I haven't left Melton, just because I realize how good of a gig I got here at Melton, or I have here at Melton. That's my Texas education there for you. But I have a super good gig here at Melton. Again, everybody puts so much emphasis on pay. Is Melton the best paying company? No, not by any means. They pay you a very fair wage. I'm not saying they pay us poorly, but you're not going to be making top dollar here at Melton. But the way you're treated, for me, the way I'm treated, that's a form of payment, if you will. Having pride in my equipment, that's a form of payment. I'm not driving crappy equipment that I'm consistently worrying about breaking down. Now, granted, I know my buddy, he's broken down plenty of time. Me and him have very different opinions on it. I can only speak for me. But I know they're out there, right? I'm not trying to belittle that. But all these other things, there's so much more to a job than strictly pay. And again, the way you're treated doesn't pay your bills. The equipment you drive doesn't put food on your table. Like, I get it, but there's so much more to a job than pay. And that's the biggest reason why I haven't left Melton, is the way they treat me and the fact that I'm not micromanaged. So those are my pros and cons. Again, there's a whole bunch of things I probably could have said on either side of the table, but those are my 3/4 biggest things for each side of that fence there. So if I have a buddy going through CDL school, he calls me up and says, hey Austin, that's my real name. Austin's my real name. I go by Kep. That's where Kep on Trucking is. So he's like, hey Austin, he was like, I graduate next Friday. Would you recommend Melton? I want to get in flatbed. Would you recommend Melton? And I'm gonna call him and say, hey man, it's hard work. I'd give him the whole spiel. It's hard work. OTR is a rough lifestyle. Blah blah blah. But at the end of the day, would I recommend Melton to my buddy, a friend, somebody I actually care about? Absolutely, 100%. Especially if they're right out of school. So that's my recommendation for new drivers. Now, say I have a buddy that's been driving driving tankers for 5 years, right? Experienced driver. So, hey man, think about switching over to flatbed. Would you recommend Melton? And I'm gonna ask them. It's like, well, are you willing to take a pay cut? Because you're gonna, from something like that, you're gonna take a pay cut. And I'm gonna ask them, what do you value more? Do you value the way you're treated or the money in your bank account? That's what I'm asking. And depending on his answer will depend on if I give the recommendation to Melton a yes or a no. Because if he wants to put more importance on the money coming into his bank account, as an experienced driver, Melton's not going to be for him. It's just not, because they're going to get caught up in pay. They're going to be unhappy with it. They're already taking a pay cut, and every Friday they get a constant reminder. Every Friday, dang, took a pay cut. Dang, this sucks. Dang, I should have stayed in tanker. Right? It's gonna, and they're not going to enjoy their job. But maybe they work for a terrible company that treats them very poorly, and he's like, you know what? I'm tired of being treated. I'm tired of being treated poorly, man. I'm gonna be like, hey, you know what? They pay us fair at Melton. You're not gonna make what you make over hauling them tanks, but you're gonna be treated extremely well. All right. So I would recommend it in that instance. So take that for what it's worth, whether you're a brand new driver or experienced driver. My biggest advice to a lot of people that kind of reach out, there's more to a job than what you see in your bank account on Friday. Now, again, I'm not belittling anything. I understand pay is super important. That's how you pay your bills. That's how you eat your food. I understand all that. But for me, there's more importance in the way I'm treated at a company versus how much I'm making. So that's really all I can really think about, in terms of what I need to say in a review. I mean, I could ramble on and tell you, all my favorite, my favorite place I visited this year. That's a hard one. I think there's two things, and they're probably tied for first place. The first one, actually, funny enough, they're both, one's for sure in Montana. The second one I may have already crossed over into Wyoming. I'm not sure on that. Anyway, the first one, Ellie and I we were eastbound on 90 going through Montana. Just gotten into Montana and saw a sign that said Albertson Pullout, and I was like, you know what, I gotta pee. So I take the little, I would say an exit, but it's kind of just like, hey, take this little whatever it is. And there's like 4 parking spots for big trucks. And so I pulled in and I'm looking around and I'm like, there's nothing really around. There's a little outhouse, but on Google Maps it looked like there's a big lake next to it. And so anyway, there was a little trail that walked down to the lake, and I think I still have a video of it, and if so, I'm gonna put it in here. But man, I took my 30-minute break there. Just a beautiful, it was probably midsummer, but just an absolute beautiful place to take a 30-minute break. If I could have taken my 10-hour break there, I would have. Ellie went and swam in the water. I took my boots off and got about shin deep. There was a girl that was sunbathing, and the way she came into this world over on a rock, that was cool to see. But just an awesome, beautiful place. So that's tied for the other thing I could think of. Ellie and I, we were going down US 191 south of where did I pick that up? Butte, Montana, maybe both. I don't know, somewhere in Montana, going south, and we got to drive through Yellowstone, man. And I'm hoping I still have video from this, but man, it was just awesome. It was such a beautiful drive. The entire drive was gorgeous. This was midsummer. I pulled over They had a big pull-out area, said welcome to Yellowstone. Again, I'm hoping I can find these videos. I'll throw them in here. I stripped down to my underwear, not even gonna lie to y'all, off the side of the road, stripped down to my underwear, jumped into the Yellowstone River. It was cold, very, very cold. Ellie got in there with me. I mean, just an absolute beauty of a day. And if I had to pinpoint my favorite day or favorite thing I've done here at Melton, it'd be one of those two things, man. Just absolutely beautiful scenery. I had Ellie with me. Just an all-around, just amazing time. So I'm not going to talk about my least favorite things because I'm sure I could find a few of those, and there's no point in talking about them. But again, am I happy with my decision to come to Melton? Absolutely, absolutely, man. If anything, it's given me a year of just so many adventures and so many just memories I've made and things I never would have seen otherwise. I truly do enjoy driving, y'all. I truly do love what I do. Most of the time, you know, unless I'm coming off home time, I don't get that, dang, I gotta go to work tomorrow. All right, now don't confuse that with, dang, I don't feel like tarping, because I get that pretty often. But I don't get that, dang, tomorrow's Monday feeling, you know. And maybe that's because I work every single day, I don't know, but I guess I've gotten used to it. And again, unless I'm coming off home time, I really truly don't get that, dang, I gotta go to work tomorrow. And so that in itself is a huge feeling. So hopefully this video you know, helps anybody out there wanting to learn more about Melton. Again, these are just my opinions and my experiences, but would I recommend Melton for, let's just say, anybody out there? Hey, some stranger, hey, would you recommend working for your company? I'd probably tell them yes if I knew nothing about them. And so I can't speak any higher for the way I'm treated. Again, I know other people have issues or whatever. I can only speak from my experiences, and so far my experiences have been very, very good here at Melton. So all right, so hopefully y'all can hear me. We're gonna try this on the phone, see how it goes. But as you see here, there at the bottom, you see me scrolling. I've gone through and have put in all my data. You know, if it loads, we'll just do this one. So right, so all my information week by week. If you've been around the channel, I used to do my pay updates like that. Now I just screenshot the actual pay statement and do my video there. But as you see here, this is going to be from May of 2022 until, and it has all the way through March of, you know, from 23, which is, you know, last week. This is strictly information from having my truck. This does not include orientation pay. I didn't feel like I needed it in this video. We are going to touch on orientation a little bit, but or we may have, I'm not sure. But in terms of the money aspect, so you see here, out of I'm gonna tell you, let me go into the structure a little bit. So 52 weeks in a year, right? April is not on the spreadsheet, so that minus 4 weeks puts us at 48 weeks, right? Of the, you know, remaining of the year. I've taken 51 home time days over the last year. So that's going to knock us down to 41 work weeks. Okay. So with that being said, out of the 41 work weeks, we're averaging 2 loads a week for 2,200 miles. And we're averaging roughly 1154 gross, right? So I took that 1154 and I divided it by 55 hours. I know there's most of the weeks we do, you know, we're 65 hours. I was going to do 60 hours originally, but I was like, you know what? Freight's been slow for the last 6 months. Let me do 55 hours just to make it somewhat okay. So that equates to about $21 an hour, straight time. So if I were to want to get a local position and make the exact same amount of money that I make here at Melton, I would have to find a local position that pays me at least 21 bucks an hour, and that works me 55 hours a week. So that's kind of the correlation there. So we'll touch on pay a little bit later in the review, but that's just the information there. Again, if you want to look at it in depth, pause the video. You can look at it month by month, see, if you take a lot of home time, how's it going to affect your pay, or vice versa. If you don't go home, you're obviously going to make a little bit more money. So the biggest relation I've found in all this data is, obviously when you go home, you're not running, right? So you're not going to make as much money. However, it's not always about going home. Like if you go home, 3 or 4 days, then okay, you're still going to make some decent money. If you go home for a whole week, obviously that's a whole week you're not going to be able to run. Versus if you go home for 4 days, that might just be one load you're not running, right? And so that's kind of the relation for me. However, with me and my circumstances, the pay aspect isn't a huge thing for me. I much rather, have a work-life balance and go home. So that's just my opinion. So I take all my home time days. And so with me taking all of my home time, you see, hey, I only made $47,000 this year at Melton. And so that includes a $5,000 sign-on bonus, mind you. So really, from just running, I only made $42,000 here at Melton, over 41 weeks. So you got to think that's $42,000 over a span of what? Almost 9 months. 7 weeks, I'm just going to round that up to 2 months. And then the 4 weeks so let's just say 2.5 months, right? So we ran 9.5 months and made $42,000. So pay is subjective. I'll let you decide if, that's something you enjoy or something you like or don't like. But we're going to flip this back around. Take it for what it's worth. Again, this is just my side of the story. I'm sure there's other drivers that will give their side of the story. But that's all I got for y'all today. If you have any questions, any comments, please drop them below. If you don't want to ask it publicly for whatever reason, look in the description. My handle for my TikTok and Instagram will be in the description below. For whatever reason, if you watch my videos and you're like, man, I really want to go to Melton because of my videos, my driver code is right here. It's PIEA. Call your recruiter or reach out to me. I can do a referral on my end. Either way, I'll be happy to answer any questions. So again, hopefully you'll have a great rest of your day or morning, whenever you're watching this. I just hope you're having a good day. But until next time, take care.